Talk to me about the assassination attempt. It's hard for me to process what actually happened, what could have happened that day. For me, it's proof that we're clearly living in a simulation. The fact that he was that close,
yes,
and the potential ramifications if that bullet had hit his head. I don't even know. What are your thoughts on what happened, the aftermath, and maybe even what this means over the next 10 years for the country?
Well, I always start out trying to argue against myself, like when something looks conspiratorial, as this does. Like, how could the Secret Service put him in a position where he could be shot at like that? And then I make all the arguments against it. And so far, the arguments are arguing against a conspiracy. Not I'm saying there wasn't one, but right now I don't see the evidence for these, third shooters or Secret Service shot him or those sorts of things. On the other hand, it's hard to reconcile the lapses in security. A lot of people say, well, how did the guy get on the roof? It wasn't just that. There were almost no processes followed at that rally that should have been followed in terms of security for someone the Secret Service is covering. My husband's a former SWAT team commander. I have some experience looking at these sorts of things as a journalist. I know the basic steps that go into before a public figure like that appears at a rally, the checks that are done beforehand, the walkthroughs, the meetings that happen. There are dozens of things that weren't done that are standard operating procedure that I just can't explain, why they weren't done. And I don't know the answer as to why they weren't yet. I think there will be a lot more that comes out about this, but this is really, it's unforgivable. And it's shocking that Donald Trump could have been killed and that he was shot in the way with all the lapses they had. I'll give you just a couple examples. You don't turn over something so close into what should be the perimeter around, former president. You don't turn that over to the locals. If you turn that over to the locals, you have to be sure you know the qualifications of their SWAT teams. These are small local, police agencies. Not to say they don't have great SWAT teams, but it may not be, in some instances, what you would expect, the quality you would expect, like at the Secret Service. How good are their snipers? How much experience do they have guarding somebody like this, for example? You absolutely have to have real-time communication. I've said an 8th grader could have an hour-long sort of summary of good security and come up with a better plan than what was instituted that day. You have to have real-time communication between the locals if you've assigned them responsibility or not. Have to have real-time communication with them and top-level Secret Service folks doing the security. That makes no sense. I think I was the one who isolated the clip of the 3 Secret Service ladies kind of milling around at the car where Donald Trump was whisked away, and all 3 of them clearly did not appear to be as though they were on job one. They seemed confused. They weren't really looking at the crowd and providing security at that point. They were confused and maybe a little bit panicked. One of them drawing a weapon, which I think usually has to be investigated if you draw a weapon when you're not, really there's no reason to. And she's the only one who did, and then couldn't holster it quickly, which made it seem like she hadn't done it 1,000 times. And anyone guarding, former President Trump should have been very experienced at this. I isolated a 36-second clip that I posted on Twitter that a lot of people picked up and started scrutinizing why were these people assigned, if they weren't super experienced and adept at what they do. Clearly the plan hadn't been run through, how we would get the president, out safely if something happened. So anyway, I could go on and on, but it makes no sense from the very start as to all of these lapses. Even if all this stuff had been misplanned, the Secret Service agents on site, and some of them did a very good job, so I'm not trying to paint a broad brush and criticize everybody, all of them should have noticed the gaps in real time. So there's nothing to stop them as they're at the rally in real time saying, I see a rooftop that isn't secured. Or if no one noticed before for some weird reason, there's no reason that they shouldn't have noticed on site that day as they're doing their job that there was lax security.
Which means you could halt the rally,
absolutely.
All these things that you could do. Yeah, have you seen that video compiled that's like 3 minutes that puts all the videos together where someone sees the shooter on the roof and Trump's giving the speech the whole time, and you get to see, because it's like maybe 7 different videos but with the same audio track, and you can literally see someone saying, hey, there's somebody on the roof, and Trump talks for like a good 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
That's a great idea, yeah. I put together a timeline, but I think seeing that visually is just, that's a long, people don't maybe realize till you sit down through 2 minutes or 30 seconds, what a long period of time that is in this context.
Yeah, it was really scary. And it, again, I haven't spent my life studying the JFK assassination, but from what I do know of it, the lax security on the day or the missing extra police officers, you can just see how that can be a component of something like that happening.
Yeah.
And that over a long enough timeline with that kind of security, probably something's going to happen. And whether it was intentional or not, it was still a pretty shocking result. What do you think would have happened if that bullet had hit his head? What would have happened to America?
Wow. That's a really good question. What do you think would have happened?
I think that Trump would have been a martyr for the next 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And I think that could embody so many dangerous behaviors, because I think he would just become such a symbol of the resistance that when any time anybody wanted to justify, a terrible act, it could always be in his name. And I feel like that just could empower so many behaviors, and that's all I can think of. Part of me thinks that the country would move on, it would find a way, but it feels to me there would be a group of people, the loyalists, that will never let this go. Not in a year, not in 10 years, not in 50 years, and it'll always be the ammunition of the bone to pick with the party you don't agree with. And that's I don't know why I think that. It's not like I've game planned this.
That seems logical. And, I think the narrative would have been, we would have heard the media in a short period of time say that the shooter was a Trump supporter, so Trump was shot by a Trump supporter would be the narrative. So don't be mad at the other side. And that it was Trump who said something incendiary. The narrative would be that incited, almost like he deserved it because he incited through his rhetoric. There would be this big effort to try to make it out to be Trump's fault, or this is what happens when you're a divisive politician. That would be coming from one side. But I agree with you. There's a huge, subculture, maybe not 51% of America, but a large minority of Americans who would have the view as you stated, and it would be hard for them to stay silent about that.
And then, who would have gone on to run? I mean, would the Republican Party got a major boost from that? Probably, maybe. And then who would the candidate have been? The convention hadn't happened yet.
That's a really good question.
And then would they be elected or not? I don't know. There's so many fascinating questions about what happens. And then even if you have a political structure in place, what happens to the rest of the people? Does it blow over?
But for a turn of the head.
Right.
A little turn of the head.
It's again, I still can't believe it actually happened.
Well, I'm surprised at how little people are talking about it now. Obviously they know he was shot, but it's not, every time I see him, I'm amazed because I think I'm younger than him. If I'd been shot in the ear or anywhere, or even if whizzed by me, I'd probably still be in the hospital shaking and traumatized. And he was he didn't even stay in the hospital that night. It's just stunning to me that the energy and the fortitude he has, or the motivation he has to get out there every day despite that. And I would be scared the next time. I was scared for him. The next time he spoke, I just kept having these, horrible thoughts of what if someone tried to shoot him again,
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.